Hello and welcome back to Keeping Up with the Climate Change. I'm your host, Selina Haroon. We are here with Daphne Porras from University of California, who recently conducted a study in Central Valley to see how climate change affects agriculture in California. We also have farmer Don Cameron from Fresno, California, who's been having some trouble with his crops. Before we begin, Daphne, can you give us some background on agriculture in California?
Of course. California is the largest and most diverse agricultural state in the U.S., with over 77,500 farms and an agricultural production value of $50.5 billion. The state produces 1/3 of the country's vegetables and 2/3 of its fruits and nuts. Over 400 crops are produced in California, and some are grown nowhere else in the nation. Agricultural production in California is highly sensitive to climate change. Changes in temperature, precipitation pattern, snowpack, and water availability are the main challenges that California farms face.
3. 1. Well, that's Don Cameron, our farmer from Fresno, California. I guess the farming situation has gotten pretty bad. So Don, tell us, what's the problem?
My crops are dying! My walnuts are suffering due to inconsistent weather!
Do you harvest any crops besides walnuts?
Do you harvest any crops other than walnuts? Of course I do. I harvest plums and apricots and peaches, but the walnuts are the reason I'm not doing well financially.
So why are your winter crops suffering?
This farm has been struggling without the rain we usually get in the winter. It's usually never this hot. Fresno, California is in the middle of a drought. If the crops do grow, they bloom early and I have to harvest them early. My yield of crops is down by 20%.
Of course, Don. Daphne, can you tell us what's going on with Don's crops?
Well, Don, those plants you mentioned are plants that require chill hours during the winter, which the local climate is now no longer providing much of. Individual crops have specific ranges in which they can grow. A change of only 2 degrees Celsius can make or break the growth of a plant. For example, pistachios require 700 chill hours in the winter, between 0 Celsius and 7 Celsius. But for the past 4 years, there's been less than 500 chill hours. As you can see in this figure, over time there has been a huge decrease of chill hours in California, and it will continue to decrease drastically in the future as winters continue to become warmer.
But I always chill with them. I bring them some Pepsi and we have a good time.
That isn't the type of chill hours I'm talking about. Individual crops have certain optimum temperature ranges at which vegetative and reproductive growths thrive. And exposure to extremely high temperatures during these growth stages can affect the growth and yield of a plant. Acute exposure to extreme temperatures may be most detrimental during the crop reproductive stages. Our temperature sensitivity study shows that during warmer winters, yields for winter crops are reduced because they aren't meeting chill hour requirements from November to February. This figure here shows an analysis of precipitation records since 1890. October of 2011 to March 2014, we have experienced the driest 30-month period since records have began.
Well, what am I supposed to do with that? Without walnuts, my entire life is destroyed. I can pencil them!
Daphne, is there anything Don can do?
My suggestion for now, as winters are becoming warmer, is to lean toward crops that don't need chill hours. Crops that thrive in these warming temperatures include rice, tomatoes, and alfalfa. However, more research has to be done to breed and test more heat-tolerant varieties, as well as finding irrigation methods that save water while minimizing losses in crop yields.
Let's give a big thanks to our guest today. Tune in next week for another segment of Keeping Up with the Climate Change, in which we will investigate if avocados are toast. We are now reaching the end of today's segment. To summarize certain winter crops that grow here in California, which include peaches, plums, apricots, and walnuts, require specific temperatures in the winter. Due to climate change and warming winters, these crops that require specific temperatures can now no longer grow properly. Because of this, farmers in California, such as our special guest, Don Cameron, are struggling with certain crop yields. This can hurt California's agricultural production value unless, as Tappan said, more research is done to breed and test heat-tolerant variations.
I can't. I can't. I can't. Crops of I can't. I can't. I can't.
Back and then we're just gonna.
But you're nodding right now, so does that mean?
Okay, 3 seconds. The situation has gotten pretty bad. So Don, tell us, what's the problem?